UFC 292. This is the weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to talking about this card one final time after seeing the fighters on the scales. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And also note, I'm live for the entire UFC 292 fight card, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Do not miss it. Really looking forward to the fight companion. And let's get into the first fight of the night. We have Maryna Moroz versus Karine Silva. The ladies going after it in this fight here. I've been picking Karine Silva to win this fight throughout the entire week. I feel as though she is going to be the physically stronger girl. In the grappling, I see she is on top. I say she'll be on top. And then on the opposite side, Moroz, obviously dangerous with submissions, has a submission win over Karine Silva in their first fight many, many years ago. And Karine Silva early in that fight looked physically stronger and looked to be maybe the more dominant grappler from top, but ultimately was inexperienced and get locked up in a sub in that fight. Now Karine Silva is known for finishing a lot of opponents by submission. She's also dangerous on the feet. Both girls are very hard to finish at this point of their careers. I think Maryna Moroz and Karine Silva will end up going long because Moroz has never been stopped as a professional fighter. And I think that Karine Silva gets it back. She wins a decision. She beats Moroz in a hard-fought 3 rounds. I do see her getting on top in moments, and I think that she'll have some successful striking exchanges as well throughout the fight. So Karine Silva's been my pick all week, but I do want to bring up the scales and check some things out here. We'll look at the official scales first, and then obviously I'll bring up the face-off. There is Karine Silva. There is Maryna Moroz. And let's pull up the official scale, the ceremonial scale. Let's check them out, facing off, how they look, nose to nose, first fight of the night. The ladies are going at it in a rematch. And something that is notable, right, is the slight size advantage for Maryna Moroz. I believe they are listed at about 1 inch difference in height. Don't quote me on it. I'll have to go back and look at the topology, and I will. I think that Maryna Moroz in this fight does not have the stopping power to keep Silva off of her. I really believe in the 29-year-old Silva, a developing game, win streak at this point, really bursts onto the UFC scene with 2 dominant wins, finishes. I don't think she finishes the crafty vet in Moroz, but she avenges her loss, and nothing better than your first legit step up in competition inside of the UFC against someone that beat you earlier in your career, especially when you go back and rewatch that fight. It's on the internet. You can find it. You'll see that Karine Silva started fast, I believe, with a jump knee, ended up on top, and then obviously got caught in an armbar. I don't see lightning striking twice for Maryna Moroz. I don't see her subbing Karine Silva this time. I'm riding the side of Karine Silva to get her hand raised on the judges' scorecards. I think that Maryna will be hard to finish, but Karine Silva will be winning the majority of the fight. I think she gets potentially 30-27 here. 29-28, not crazy, but definitely the side of Karine Silva winning. I love the afro too, man. She's got a ton of fucking hair. Slight favorite, Karine Silva, minus 136. Moroz at plus 116. That is a playable money line. Decision win for Silva is plus 275 with the submission sitting at just plus 210. I've said this all week. I don't understand how sub is only plus 210 for Karine Silva when Moroz has never been finished. And she's been in the UFC a long time now. And she's still in her prime. I think Karine Silva has a pretty high ceiling in the game, and I look forward to the next couple years for her. I think she caps it off beating Maryna Moroz in a rematch. So Karine Silva on the judges' scorecards to start the night off is what I'm feeling here. I think that she does win the fight. Next fight on the card, ladies going after it again. It's Andrea Lee versus Natália Silva. I've been picking Natália Silva with some strong confidence all week. I do believe she's the next up prospect at 125 pounds. And Andrea Lee's a legitimate jump in competition, but you dig back to her UFC debut. It was against Jasmine Jasudavicius, who just recently beat Miranda Maverick and looked pretty clean and dominant in that fight. And Maverick I would say is a fairly high-ranked contender, top 15 type fighter. And Jasdavicius was cleanly beaten by Natália Silva. And not only was she beaten on the feet, she was taken down in that fight. Natália Silva's grappling defense is off the charts. She has good trips inside and throws. She has punching power. She's got fast hands. Andrea Lee is notoriously quite durable. So I don't think that Natália Silva will finish Andrea Lee. I think we get 3 rounds to work, and I think Natália Silva wins it on the judges' scorecards. I'm kind of seeing a 30-27. It wouldn't be out of this world if it ended up being 29-28. Maybe Lee gets a second round, a couple better moments, but nah, I'm thinking 30-27. I think Silva's going to be way faster on the feet. She can control where the fight takes place, and I think she also dictates the pace of the fight too. I really like the chances for Natália Silva. She'll bully her opponents, if they allow her to, right? Andrea Lee, she's not one to easily bully. She scraps with everybody she fights, but I don't think she has the stopping power in her hands to keep Natália Silva off of her. So I do see Silva taking chances and having big moments, but the toughness of Lee keeps her in it, and we go the full 3 with a victory for Natália Silva on the cards. But let's check them out on the scales. Natália Silva looking beautiful as always. And then we're looking at Andrea KGB Lee. I mean, she's not out of her prime. She's not washed or anything like that. She's just fighting somebody that I really think is poised as a future contender, in her mid-20s versus mid-30s, Andrea Lee. Different spots of their careers. We've seen the level of Lee, and I think Silva's constantly getting better. And she's got a fuckload of pro experience. There's a face-off. I like Natália Silva a ton here. Natália Silva, confident pick. I do think that she is tested enough so to go the distance, though. I think she's going to get it on the cards, hard 3 rounds, wins the fight. Minus 300 for Natália Silva to Andrea Lee at plus 250. Yeah, I'll say it up and down. Natália Silva, damn dangerous, but Andrea Lee proven tough. And Lee's loss recently to Maycee Barber was a real toss-up decision, right? I think Natália Silva would beat a Maycee Barber. So minus 200 for the over 2.5, something interesting to note. And then Silva to win it on the judges' scorecards sits at plus 115. Confident pick, Natália Silva for the win. I do believe in the toughness of Andrea Lee, so I do feel pretty good about this thing going the distance here with Natália Silva getting her hand raised on the cards. But I will say this. If she does finish this fight, the stock jumps tenfold. I mean, it's going to raise for sure for Natália Silva with a win over someone as experienced as Andrea Lee. But if you finish in Andrea Lee, holy shit. Andrea Lee's run, if you look, right, finished 1 time by submission. And when we dig, when was this submission loss? How long ago, man? We're talking about 2016, 8 years ago, pre-UFC. I think that we're going long. I trust the durability and the submission defense. But Natália Silva's getting it done. But I won't lie to you and say that if she did get a sub, it wouldn't look like she's not a perennial title challenger heading into 2024. But either way, Silva, confident pick for the win. Next fight, Gerald Meerschaert versus Andre Petroski. All week I've been picking Gerald Meerschaert to win the fight. I think that he's going to be able to strangle Petroski. I know Petroski's the better wrestler, but the better jiu-jitsu, I believe, is on Meerschaert's side. I like the length advantage for him as well in the arms, and I think that in the stand-up, it's quite competitive. Petroski throws harder, but I'd say Meerschaert is a bit more technical. Now, I know Gerald Meerschaert is not, when you think of Muay Thai, kickboxing, excellent technique, that's not the guy you'd think of, but Petroski by no means is known for his stand-up. Has some heavy hooks and overhands, but is quite limited. There's Andre Petroski, strong guy, good wrestling, can control fights from top, obviously competes in jiu-jitsu as well. And then we have Gerald Meerschaert. I think Meerschaert's locking him up with a sub, man. I like the arm length, and I like the fact that he doesn't have these big python arms. I think the skinnier arms are going to allow him to strangle Meerschaert. Meerschaert's been put in guillotines a couple of times by lesser guys. Wellington Turman comes to mind, last opponent for Petroski. He won that fight by decision. There was a couple guillotine threats, and if you're shooting on Meerschaert, his guillotine is levels better than Wellington Turman's. There's a face-off there. Meerschaert's in shape, as is Petroski. I'm going to say Meerschaert locks up in maybe a second round sub. Could be later. He could end up getting Petroski's back in the third round too when the fatigue really sets in and strangling him. I think Meerschaert is live for a sub throughout this entire fight, and I really like the chances of it happening for him here. So we're going Gerald Meerschaert to win via submission. Looking at the odds, Meerschaert is a large underdog, nearly plus 200. He's sitting around plus 190 range, depending where you go. Minus 225 for Petroski. I like Meerschaert all day. He's got a fuckload of more fights. Petroski's a tough guy. Ultimate Fighter, he was submitted by ninja choke against Brian Battle. That kind of gives me confidence that he can get locked up by Gerald Meerschaert here as well. So Meerschaert to win money line is a great bet, but looking at Meerschaert by sub is plus 265. If you really want to spice things up and you like Meerschaert by sub, second or third round sub for Meerschaert gives you a little more juice. First round's not bad either at plus 725. Maybe you're throwing 10 down on all three of those to get yourself a chance for some big plus money. But at the end of the day, the money line for Meerschaert is a great side, and it's fist fighting. You know, crazy shit ends up happening. He somehow wins on the cards. Then you're kicking yourself. What the fuck? I just bet the sub prop. So obviously bet intelligently if you are going Meerschaert, but I personally like him as an underdog in this fight, and I think he's going to win it by submission. So we're going GM3 for the win over Andre Petroski. Next fight on the card is the Ultimate Fighter bantamweight finale. It's Cody Gibson versus Brad Katona. So I broke this fight down for the first time yesterday and ended up picking Cody Gibson to win the fight. And he is a slight underdog here. I do think it's quite a coin flip. We'll look at the odds in a few minutes. I do want to bring up the scales and then discuss this fight a little bit more. At the end of the day, there's a physicality advantage towards Cody Gibson, and he was more impressive in the Ultimate Fighter house than the likes of Brad Katona. There is Cody Gibson. There is Brad Katona. Note Cody Gibson has a win over, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous guys outside the UFC in John Dodson, who's now a bare-knuckle champion, but obviously has always been a dangerous MMA fighter and former title challenger. I take confidence with that. I know he's normally a flyweight, and Gibson obviously up at 35. There's the face-off. Brad Katona has a style where he can control where the fight takes place. He can back you up. He can control you against the cage, mix in some kickboxing with the takedowns, and win hard-fought decisions. Gibson matches him in the wrestling. I think he's actually the physically stronger guy. In the striking, I'd say Katona might be slightly faster than Cody Gibson, but the length of Gibson is a viable factor heading into this fight. It's a very interesting predicament, right? Because I think it is a coin flip. I think that the odds favoring one man over the other, I mean, obviously they have to, but my feeling here is we're looking at a true 50-50. Not one of those fights where I'm crazy about a heavy bet. Cody Gibson is 35. Brad Katona is 31. Brad Katona previously won the Ultimate Fighter. I'm going to pick Cody Gibson on a hard-fought decision, but I will warn you guys right away. I think there's a real possibility that Katona gets him on a close decision on the opposite side. It's a 50-50. It's a competitive fight. I was just not overly impressed by Katona throughout the entire tough season. Now, heading into the Ultimate Fighter, I probably would have said Timur Valiev maybe was the likely guy to win. And then obviously Katona gets a very competitive decision over him. But Cody Gibson's physicality, I think, is actually kind of a bad matchup for Katona. So I'm going to say Cody Gibson on the judges' scorecards. He's a slight dog. I will say what I love most here is the over. I think this fight's going all three rounds. Minus 215 for that over. I'm giving it a thumbs up. I think it's pretty likely it goes over. Gibson to win by decision is plus 325 in this one here. Yeah, I think that Cody Gibson hard fought 3 rounds, decision win over Brad Katona. History cannot be made. There is no dual Ultimate Fighter champion on Saturday with Cody Gibson, the underdog, the Ultimate Fighter winner. He beats Brad Katona on the judges' scorecards in a hard fought 3 rounds. We're going Gibson. Next fight on the card is the Ultimate Fighter lightweight finale. It's Kurt Holobaugh versus Austin Hubbard. I have been picking Austin Hubbard throughout the entire week. I really like his chances in this fight, and I think post-weigh-in, my confidence slightly grew. I don't know. Hubbard just seemed to ooze confidence at the face-off, in my opinion. And he's also in very good shape. I think he mixes it up better than Kurt Holobaugh. He's the younger guy. Granted, last fight I picked the older guy. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to say age is everything here. But I feel as though Austin Hubbard can mix it up better than Holobaugh. I think his takedowns should be on point here. I think he can put Holobaugh on his back. And in the kickboxing, I see it as quite competitive. Obviously, Holobaugh had a legendary fight with Jason Knight on Tough this season. Fight of the season. One of the best fights in Ultimate Fighter history. Reminiscent of like Forrest Griffin, Stephan Bonner. Rest in peace, Stephan Bonner. I think Austin Hubbard beats him on the cards, though. 3 hard rounds. Hubbard pulls this one off against a savvy vet. Both guys are savvy vets at this point. And I think that Austin Hubbard's winning it, man. I just feel as though he'll do it. He beat Roosevelt Roberts, who I thought had a real chance to win the Ultimate Fighter early. He was my pick to win the show. And I think that Austin Hubbard here is going to be able to defeat a guy like Kurt Holobaugh. I think they match up well. So we're going Hubbard for the win, but we will bring up the scales and check these guys out. Let's look at it here. There is Kurt Holobaugh on the scale. There is Austin Hubbard on the scale. It's not like any notorious notes to make about either guy. They're both shredded. They're both ready to fight. It's just Holobaugh, to me, I don't know. He has a slight aura of confidence around him. I feel better picking Holobaugh to win than I'm picking Cody Gibson, if you understand what I'm saying, in the previous fight. My confidence in the Ultimate Fighter matchups, this one, I feel more confident. There's the face-off. Both guys looking solid and ready to go. I think I like Hubbard's chances, man. I think Hubbard wins this thing. If I just made a fumble and said that I think Holobaugh's confidence, I meant Hubbard, so don't take that the wrong way. Hubbard, he gets it done. I think he's going to pull it off over the 3 rounds. So give me Austin Hubbard by a decision over Kurt Holobaugh. Looking at the odds, Hubbard's a bit of a favorite at -180 to Holobaugh around +150. I like this fight going over as well at -160. I know Hubbard spoke upon being more entertaining this fight, but Holobaugh is a very difficult guy to put away. Hubbard to win by decision +165. I think it hits. I think that's going to end up happening. So Austin Hubbard to get it done over the 3 rounds. He wins it on the judges' scorecards. They go long, and we got the lightweight Ultimate Fighter, Austin Hubbard. And this is just a weird season of the Ultimate Fighter because none of the prospects made it to the finals. It's all veterans. I personally, sometimes look forward to the prospects getting signed. Not that I'm not happy for Austin Hubbard or, Kurt Holobaugh or Cody Gibson or Brad Katona, whoever wins. I just don't know how much of a mark they'll make on the higher level of the UFC getting signed in their 30s if you feel what I'm putting down. Austin Hubbard, thud to thud Kurt Holobaugh. We'll get Hubbard on the cards, the official call. Next fight is where it heats the fuck up. It's Gregory Rodrigues versus Denis Tiuliulin. I'm obviously picking Gregory Rodrigues. I think everybody's picking Gregory Rodrigues unless you're trying to shoot in the dark on underdogs and pick Tiuliulin because he's a huge dog. Gregory Rodrigues spoke upon falling in love with his striking, but he said he plans to mix in his MMA game here. And when I heard that, I said, yes, this guy's a grappling specialist. Like Gregory Rodrigues is heavy-handed. He's a dangerous striker. He can scrap with anybody. But he's been chinned a couple times. His opponent has 5 submission losses, and I think there is a clear path to victory in the grappling. Now, ultimately, I expect Gregory Rodrigues to still throw very heavy punches. But if he hurts a Tiuliulin and then follows it up with the grappling, that is going to be the perfect recipe. I think Gregory Rodrigues speaking upon using his grappling and then his opponent notoriously getting submission losses, taking some L's by sub. That's a confidence booster for Gregory Rodrigues' jiu-jitsu. I'm calling Gregory Rodrigues by submission now. Earlier in the week, I was saying knockout. Now I'm feeling the sub side after he said that. Either is live. Inside distance, I think, is very likely. Rodrigues should finish the fight in the first 2 rounds. I don't think this is competitive. It should be a bit of a mismatch. There's Denis Tiuliulin on the scale. There is Gregory Rodrigues on the scale. And let's pull up the official face-off between these two savages. I respect Tiuliulin's game. He's a tough SOB, but he's not going to beat Gregory Rodrigues. A little bit of a size edge for Gregory. He's obviously coming motivated after the big upset loss to Bruno Ferreira where he was caught cold. I think he beats Tiuliulin, man. But knowing that he's planning on employing a more MMA-centric game as opposed to just trying to knock his opponent out, I think should aid to everybody's confidence who's on Gregory Rodrigues, assuming he sticks to his guns and what he said is actually true, which I believe it is. I'm going Gregory Rodrigues to win this fight, and I'm calling it submission. Now, if you are on Gregory Rodrigues, you already know that the line is hideous. He is a minus 360 favorite to Denis Tiuliulin around plus 285. I like the big favorite, Gregory, to win as a confident call. It's probably going under, which is minus 205 for an under 1.5. Rodrigues to win inside of the distance is minus 235. Not a great tag, but it's inside distance call. Rodrigues to win by submission is now plus 140. The sub line has been attacked because I think many people are seeing exactly what I'm saying. And now hearing that Gregory Rodrigues is also planning to employ more of an MMA game is going to add to the sub confidence. Now, he has the stopping power to get a KO. So if you throw everything on sub and then you end up fucking getting a knockout loss, you're going to be smacking the shit out of yourself. So bet it accordingly. I think Gregory Rodrigues is a great parlay piece. Obviously, if you're going extremely heavy betting wise on a huge money line like this, and then he ends up getting chinned, you're losing a fuck ton, to just make a small portion. But I think Gregory Rodrigues definitely wins the fight. Not the most appealing betting tag ever, but the likelihood of success is high here, and I think it is, comparable to what the lines are looking at. I see Gregory Rodrigues with a real chance to win. If he lost this fight, I'd say it'd be quite a big upset, quite a big surprise. He's also younger than Denis Tiuliulin. Gregory Rodrigues, win by submission. Confident prediction here with Gregory. Next fight on the card brings us to the featured prelim. It's Chris Weidman versus Brad Tavares. I have been picking Brad Tavares all week long, and, I like Chris Weidman. I grew up watching Chris Weidman fight, so it's sad to see him being, 2-6 in his last 8 fights. Brutal leg break, but he's just no longer the same fighter that he once was. And Brad Tavares is consistently decent, man. I feel like Brad Tavares is going to end up getting it on the scorecards. If Weidman's really well past it, there's a chance Tavares actually stops him. But note that Brad Tavares is not known as a heavy puncher. He's quite a difficult guy to finish. Granted, he's been finished a fair amount of times, but he's also gone distance with some savages. And Dricus du Plessis and him were having a real competitive fight. He could potentially hurt Weidman on the feet. The wrestling defense for Tavares is normally pretty solid. An older Weidman coming off of a bad leg break, no way I can pick it. I'm going Brad Tavares, but I've been looking forward to seeing these two on the scales. Specifically, I've been looking forward to seeing Chris Weidman on the scale. And let's pull him up. Brad Tavares, looking solid as usual. Shredded out, full six-pack. Chris Weidman, he looks quite good here on the scale. But you see the grays, right? This is not the young Chris Weidman that beat Anderson Silva. This is not him anymore. He's not the same frame. He's not the same guy at this point. A lot of time has passed. I think Weidman in his prime is one of the best to ever do it at middleweight, but that's just not who he is now. This is a well past it Weidman. And if you remember how he was built, in his late 20s, right? When he was fighting for the title and whatnot in his early 30s, the frame on him, the muscularity, he had a lot more dense mass. He shrunk a bit into his, later stages of his 30s. And I think Brad Tavares right now pulls it off over him. I can't pick the gray Weidman. I got to go with the proven track record of Tavares consistently fighting, consistently in competitive fights for the most part. Granted, Bruno Silva chinned him bad. Yeah, I think that we're going to see Weidman lose on the cards. And this could be the last go for Chris Weidman. I know he's talked about, and you guys will say, oh, he said he's fighting for the belt. Tony Ferguson said 5 fights in a title a few weeks ago, okay? So at the end of the day, obviously Weidman would hope that he can win and then become a title challenger, but he's 39, right? He's in the later run of his career. Bad leg break, 2-6 in his last 8 fights. There's a lot of red flags. So I'm going Tavares for the win. Now he's a big favorite at minus 260, so obviously the money line is not all that appealing. And plus 220 for Weidman. If you're a Weidman fan, I know the OGs are like, yo, fuck that. I want to throw down on my guy Weidman. Bet responsibly. Good luck. Good luck. I personally will not be joining you guys. And I've done some, bets on legends. The Robbie Lawler call. I picked him to knock out Nico Price, and I bet him as an underdog, and that came through beautifully, right? It happens sometimes. A guy that seems like he's down and out and gets a W. But Nico Price, Robbie Lawler, and then you compare this matchup, they're very different scenarios. I believe that Brad Tavares pulls it off in the scorecards, but not going to be betting Brad Tavares at minus 260. Tavares by decision is plus 210. KO is only plus 125, but Tavares is not known for knockout power or finishes. So that just must be the bookies assuming that Weidman is fragile at this point. He's quite past the prime. I still think he'll be tough enough to go the 3 rounds. I just don't think he's going to look that good. No bet on Weidman for me, man. As much as the hype I'd love to, I can't. I just don't see it. If he goes out there and wins, bravo. I'll be glad to get this one wrong, but I'm picking Brad Tavares to beat him. And I know some people said Brad Tavares is their lock, so good luck to them. Good luck to the other side. Official prediction, Brad Tavares on the judges' scorecards. I think Weidman's time is done. Sad to say, but I do. Let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Marlon Chito Vera versus Pedro Munhoz. I'm picking Marlon Chito Vera. I have been all week long. I think that he's going to hurt Pedro Munhoz at points throughout this fight, and he wins it on the scorecards. Munhoz, not a guy that gets finished. Marlon Vera, not a guy that gets finished. I see a competitive bout going distance. Some people bring up, Chito Vera's a slow starter. Fair, so he could drop the first round. So look at the live bet. The live betting side is going to be interesting here because I think that if Munhoz has a little bit of success in the first round, it could flip towards him, and then a Chito Vera play at near even money or plus money, that's a steal. Because Chito Vera in the second and third, I think, comes on very strong. I think he hurts Pedro Munhoz at points. They were very, very intense at the face-offs. Let's pull up the official scales first and foremost, and then we'll jump into the face-offs. There is Pedro Munhoz, the young Punisher. He still looks in great shape. There is Chito Vera. He doesn't look great from this picture, but it could just be the angle. Kind of the worst weigh-in picture I've actually ever seen. Like, can we get a little bit of the fucking full frame in there? Come on, MMA Junkie. What was this? What are we, just doing headshots? We're not looking at the weigh-ins to see people's headshots, man. What the fuck? But hey, it's all right because they went nose to nose. Chito Vera skipped jumping on the ceremonial scale and just sprinted at fucking Pedro Munhoz to go nose to nose with him. It's a great fight. I think both guys bring it, and I think Munhoz opens up looking for hard shots and is hurt by Marlon Vera. So give me Marlon Vera to win. I'm going to say it's a decision, though. Even though Munhoz is hurt, he doesn't get put out here. They go the full 3 rounds. Chito Vera for the win. I've been riding with him, calling him the lock throughout the week. I'm riding with confidence still in my guy Chito Vera to win a hard-fought 3 rounds. It's going to be a sweaty lock. This is not the fucking Weili Zhang minus 300 lock type situation. This is a close money call, and I'm riding Chito Vera to pull it off. Now, looking at the odds, minus 183. Chito was as low as minus 170, which is nice, right? Shit, you could even get him, what was that, minus 175? There's some good tags. Minus 160 at one point for Chito, but now he's minus 183. He's a bit of a favorite here over Pedro Munhoz. I think people are really writing Chito Vera off because he lost to Corey Sandhagen, but look how good Sandhagen's done. And let's not forget that Marlon Vera hurts pretty much everybody he fights besides like a Sandhagen as of recent. Pedro Munhoz is decent, but he's at a disadvantage of size and reach, and I think he's at a power disadvantage as well, and I think Marlon Vera is the more dangerous fighter. Plus 158 for Pedro. I like the money line of Vera. I do think he's going to win it on the judges' cards, though. Plus 115 decision for Chito Vera. I think he wins the decision. I think we're going over. If you don't like the money line side, minus 325, it's probably going long with 2 guys that are extremely hard to finish. Close money line on Chito. Give me the Chito. I guess not even that close now, though, at minus 180 range. But I like Chito Vera to win it. I feel good about him pulling it off. I think he's going to do it. Give me Chito Vera to defeat Pedro Munhoz. And I'm saying he's winning on the judges' scorecards. Let's go, Chito. And Chito's still young at only 30. Munhoz 36. I think that he gets this one, guys. Next fight on the card, short notice replacement bout, Mario Bautista versus Damon Blackshear. If you remember, Damon Blackshear won last Saturday by Twister over Jose Johnson. and he takes the fight like that and he jumps into it. I've been picking Blackshear since the fight got announced. I feel good about the side of Blackshear winning. I'm confident that he can pull this off as a dog. I think he's got the better jiu-jitsu than Mario Bautista. I also think he can dictate where the fights take place. And I think he's the heavier-handed and more dangerous striker too. And he made weight without issue. He wasn't walking around at 170 pounds, 160 pounds. He kept his weight low after the fight last weekend. He was maybe expecting a quick turnaround call. Walking around 152, makes weight no problem. He's a young guy. I guess not too young, but 29. He'll be able to bounce back from that. I think Blackshear has a breakout performance. I think Blackshear puts the whole division on notice, and I think he beats Mario Bautista here. I think there's a chance he locks up something. I think there's a chance he could sub a Bautista or he could hurt him with the hands. So possibility of inside distance is there. Obviously, Bautista, not an easy guy to dominate. He's on a nice win streak, but I've said this all week. The 4 guys that Mario Bautista has beaten, Blackshear runs them all down. And then you get in Trevin Jones, who knocked out Bautista. Blackshear runs him down too. So I think Blackshear is going to pull this one out, and he's being slept on by the bookies. Now, as far as the scales, let's pull these savages up. Let's look specifically at Blackshear. He came in on weight. He doesn't look too sucked in either. It looks like a solid weight cut, a successful weight cut. He looks ripped to the fucking gills. There's Mario Bautista on the other side. I think Bautista's in trouble here, man. It's like because Blackshear got that twister last week, it's hard to say he doesn't win by submission. So I guess we'll say this. I'll say submission, but I do think there's a chance it goes all 3 rounds and Blackshear gets a decision. But I also think there's a chance that Blackshear's power actually is on display and he hurts Mario Bautista and then he pounds him out with strikes. There's the face-off between these two. It's a dogfight. A little bit more muscle tissue, you could say, on Blackshear's side, which I think is going to come in handy in the grappling. He's a dangerous jiu-jitsu fucking fighter, man. I know he's, a black belt in jits, and I know he just fought last weekend, but he's riding high as hell, getting a $50,000 bonus, and now he's getting big money here. I think Blackshear shows out. Blackshear for the win. Money line, plus 176. I like the money line side. You can try to prop it up because you look, all right, give me Blackshear wins inside distance plus 300. Blackshear to win it by a submission plus 350. Blackshear KO sitting at plus 1100. That's wild. Plus 350 sub seems possible, but if it does end up staying standing, I think there's a real possibility Blackshear knocks him out. Could be a club and sub situation. Betting the props, I think, is high-risk territory, and, you want to do it maybe if you were on a minus 200 favorite. You're like, I want to attack the prop. But the fact that I already got plus money, just betting Blackshear straight, that's the side that I like. Blackshear money line, plus 176, fuck yes. Blackshear for the win. I feel good about him pulling it off, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this because I truly believe this is going to be the breakout fight that puts Blackshear on everybody's radar. Obviously, he pulled off a big W, right, when he beat Jose Johnson. But Mario Bautista, having that win, a guy 12-2 on a nice little streak, it's going to be huge for him. Blackshear for the win. He beats Mario Bautista on short notice as an underdog. Next fight on the card, it is the featured bout. It's Neil Magny versus Ian Machado Garry. I've obviously been picking Ian Machado Garry to knock Neil Magny out all week. Ian Garry got in his head at weigh-ins, or rather at the press conference. He got in his head talking a lot of shit yesterday at that presser. And something I didn't like, though, is the fact he didn't let Neil Magny get any words in, man. At least let the guy say a couple things so you can go back and forth. So Ian Garry got to work on, just not always cutting his fucking opponent off. Obviously, he was talking smack about Neil Magny, whooping his kids and whatnot. Neil Magny, I think, was trying to use a metaphor. I put whoopings on my kids, like giving them a smack. I'll put a whooping on Ian Garry. I think it was kind of a metaphor, and Ian Garry used that to make it look like Neil Magny's a child-beating villain, and Ian Garry is the hero looking to put him unconscious. I do think that Ian Garry does knock Neil Magny out. I've said it all week. I think that Ian Garry has the striking tools to hurt a Neil Magny, and the grappling defense, I think, will be there. Obviously, you saw Gilbert Burns with Ian Garry. You know who he's working with. Killers at Kill Cliff. Ian Garry should beat him, man. 25-year-old prospect that I think is really in a spot where he could end up fucking fighting for the belt sooner rather than later if he's impressive here. There is Ian Garry on the scale, a.k.a. fucking the new McGregor. That's what he's going for. Is the front double. It was supposed to be nice McGregor when he first came in, but with this Magny fight, he kind of turned the heel a little bit. And then there's Neil Magny. Coming in on short notice is Neil Magny as well, but he did come in very good shape. He's an experienced veteran. I mean, there's a possibility Ian Garry wins on the scorecards, but I'm going to call knockout. I think he does find the chin of Neil Magny. I think he's got some high-tier kickboxing. There's a nose-to-nose face-off. It was pretty intense. You can see same height for these guys. There's a reach advantage for Magny, but he's not a slick boxer. He's not known for using his reach. He's a guy that likes to use his size to employ his will on his opponents and, fatigue them against the cage, trip them, make it a grind. Ian Garry, I think, is going to knock him out, dude. I'm going Ian Garry knockout. His kickboxing is too slick. The grappling defense will be there. There's not enough stopping power on Magny's side. And with the smack talk, I don't know. I think Magny, he could be in his own head a little bit after the weigh-in. So maybe it proves to be the perfect strategy for Ian Garry. Minus 500 for Garry to plus 375 Magny. Terribly wide lines. There really is no money line attack here for anybody. It's not possible. Garry to win by KO is only plus 100, but I think he's going to end up chinning Neil Magny. Garry by sub is only plus 285. If Garry subs Magny, that'd be a fucking impressive win. Showing the wrinkles in the ground skills. I mean, he trains with Gilbert Burns, absolute killer on the ground. Could see some of those things rubbing off on him. I'm going to go Ian Garry by knockout still, though. I'm calling the Garry KO side over Neil Magny in the featured bout. Next fight, co-main event of the evening. It's Weili Zhang versus Amanda Lemos. I have been picking Weili Zhang all week and still champion. I think she's going to drown Amanda Lemos in the deep waters, and I think she submits her. So going Weili by sub all week, but looking forward to seeing them on the scales. Obviously, there was no hiccups. Everybody looking solid. There's Amanda Lemos. Looks per usual, Lemos. I don't know, maybe a little sucked in the cheeks, but nothing overly worrying. She seems in shape. Weili looks great. Weili looks confident, happy to be there. She's got that glow of a champion. I think Weili at 34, she's in her prime right now. Lemos is 36. I think Weili's going to sub her. I think in the striking, obviously people have talked about Lemos' power, and sure she hits hard, but I don't think it's going to be easy to just set up big strikes on a Weili. I think Weili's going to dictate the pace of the fight. I think she can dictate where the fight takes place, which is huge, and she drags Lemos into the deep waters and strangles her. Lemos' best chance is a very early knockout. I think that she starts to fatigue entering the third round, and the third, fourth, and fifth round are quite live for Weili winning by submission here. I do think she's going to end up getting a submission win. So Weili by sub in the co-main event. Now looking at the odds here, Weili is wide at minus 310 is the favorite, but confident call. Plus 260 for Amanda Lemos. Let's see, Weili by sub, plus 285. Let's see Weili in the later rounds. Weili in the fourth round, plus 1,200. Weili in the third round, plus 800. Weili in the fifth round, plus 1,600. Weili by sub in the third, plus 1,200. Weili by sub in the fourth, plus 2,500. Fourth round sub, you throw it down to plus 2,500. And round five, plus 3,300. I'm feeling third or fourth round sub a lot. I think that's when she's going to get her out of there. Strangles her, third or fourth. I'm kind of feeling third more than fourth, but, Lemos could end up making it into the fourth round. Still, the winning side is going to be the Weili side. Probably under 3.5 at minus 205, but I don't know if it's necessarily worth a bet because it's not like Weili can't win a decision, but I think Lemos gasses out. So, Weili Zhang and still champion, and she's going to get a win by sub, and it's a confident prediction in this co-main event. It's main event time. Let's go. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you haven't. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Aljamain Sterling versus Sean O'Malley. UFC Bantamweight Championship on the line. And I've been picking Sean O'Malley all week. I think he's going to silence the naysayers and put the whole world on notice when he knocks Aljamain Sterling out in this fight here. I've said a lot of things about Aljo being that he throws naked kicks from the outside with the hands down. 34 years of age. I'm not saying he's old or anything like that, but we got the youth advantage for Sugar Sean O'Malley. He's got the length advantage with the arms. He's the better striker from the outside. And he's got a frame that, especially when they start getting slippery, can be very hard to control in the grappling. I think Aljamain Sterling is going to find himself in trouble in this fight. I think Sean O'Malley's putting him out, man. I think there's possibility for a second or third round knockout. But O'Malley could catch him with a high kick in the first. He could catch him with a knee right up the center early in the fight. I think that Aljamain Sterling is going to be surprised at the grappling resistance of Sean O'Malley, at the scramble abilities of Sean O'Malley. I'm riding Sugar Show. I think he's going to pull this thing off, man. I think he's ready to ride. I think he's ready to get it done. Sean O'Malley, new champion, but we will pull up the scales. I believe in Sugar. I think he's going to find the punches and kicks and put out Aljamain. There's Sean O'Malley looking like Sugar Show does with the sick ink, but he's definitely very lean and in good shape here. On point with weight. Aljamain Sterling, who complained about the weight cuts and is moving up to 45, he's saying after this fight, looking absolutely diced. He looks shredded as fuck on the scales. I got to throw some respect out there to him because his physique is pretty A-tier. It's a top-tier MMA physique, especially at 135. And then we got a good little back and forth, but Sean O'Malley was stone cold killer mode. Aljo talking a lot. I like the body language. O'Malley, to me, he's oozing confidence without having to say much. Aljamain Sterling talking that shit, attempting to maybe get a reaction out of O'Malley. It's just not there. I think Sean O'Malley is so dialed into this fight. I think he's going to chin Aljamain Sterling. He snipes him from the outside. I think the knockout is live from the first to third round. It could be live later too, but I think Aljamain Sterling's getting touched up and wobbled. Now, it's not about if Sean O'Malley is taken down. It's about can he get up. I think he'd find ways back up. I don't think Aljamain Sterling's backpacking Sean O'Malley for this fight. If Sean O'Malley is taken down, I expect him to be able to explode up to his feet, especially near the cage. And I think he's going to be hurting Aljamain Sterling with punches. Watch out for the knees as Aljo shoots, because Sean O'Malley's got some nasty knees he can bring right up. His kicks are super fast. His combinations are incredibly slick. In the striking, there is a clear level difference. You can say the same, in the grappling, there's a clear level difference. Sean O'Malley's been grinding with jiu-jitsu. He competes. He's putting in a lot of work. He strangled Takanori Gomi. He's no slouch on the ground. I'm going Sean O'Malley, knockout, and new champion, and he sets the whole fucking world on fire on Saturday. I can't wait for it. Looking at the odds, O'Malley's a big underdog. Plus 225 for Sean O'Malley as a dog to Aljamain Sterling, the minus 265 favorite. Give me O'Malley as the dog. Money line is great. Money line is great, but I will bring up O'Malley by KO. Only plus 250, just plus 225. What the fuck? I'm not going to play plus 250 for a knockout when I got plus 225 straight money line. There's no point. O'Malley by sub would be crazy. Plus 1,600. I'm seeing plus 10,000 here. I don't know if that plus 10,000 is accurate. That'd be insane. O'Malley wins in the second is plus 800. O'Malley wins in the first is plus 450. O'Malley by KO in the first is plus 600. Second round plus 12. Third round plus 1,700. Interesting. I'm feeling the first 3 rounds by a knockout for Sean O'Malley, but I don't think that he's a dead man in the later rounds either. I think he's live throughout this whole fight. Even if Aljo is garnering some control time on the floor, I think that O'Malley's got the gas tank to go the full. And I think he's got the grappling defense and resistance to, at the very least, fight off the attempts of Aljamain. But I think make him uncomfortable in those dominant spots and find ways back up to his feet. So Sean O'Malley for the win. And also watch out for the guillotine he threatens with. Highly doubt that he's going to submit Aljamain Sterling, which is why it's a near plus 1,000 line for Sean O'Malley by guillotine. But hey, it's not impossible. O'Malley's got a nasty guillotine. I'm picking O'Malley to win by knockout. He dethrones Aljamain Sterling and becomes the star that he just seems destined to be. But we're not done just yet. Let's talk about some parlays. Let's parlay some things up. We're going to do the post weigh-in parlay show. All right? Let's ride with some confident leans. I'm feeling Katona and Gibson goes over. I'm just going to add that in for this one. The over in that fight there. And then I'm going to add in Gregory Rodrigues here, minus 115. This is a sneaky confident play. I also like Austin Hubbard, plus 197. But let's say you're like, fuck that. Give me somebody you know, more proven at the highest level. You get plus money if you throw Wang Zhang. If you could throw Weili Zhang in there, plus 147. I think there's a real possibility of this one. If you don't want the over in the Katona fight, you're like, yo, keep me out of this Katona fight. I'm good. All right, no problem. We'll take you out of it. Gregory Rodrigues, minus 350. Just with Weili alone is minus 143. I know it's not the plus money tag you want, but I end up feeling like this ends up hitting. This is a high likelihood of hitter. If you don't want to play Marlon Vera straight, or maybe you're just going money line with him, so you're like, yo, I'd rather just go for an over. It is plus 162. Notoriously known for going long on both sides, plus 119. Obviously, there's still a possibility of the knockout for the Cheeto side. What does Ian Garry give me? Plus 105, Rodrigues, Weili, and Garry. All huge fucking favorites, though. But I do think that's a real possibility hitting. Natália Silva should win, plus 124. If you go Silva, now you got plus 284 if it's Rodrigues, Weili, Silva, and Silva. That's an interesting way to put it. I want to give you guys a little more juice, though, on this next one. I want to go for the, I don't know, heavy hitter. I want to go for the home run shot. We're going to go Gerald Meerschaert, and we're going to also ride with the side of Damon Blackshear, plus 734 for two dogs. And if you added in Sugar Show at the top, now you got plus 2,570 if I snipe the dogs like an absolute savage here. Now, Meerschaert, Blackshear, and Gregory Rodrigues would still bring huge plus money at plus 973. Maybe you're taking Blackshear out of your lineup. You're getting only plus 283 now for that one. So the steam has dropped considerably, but still likely here. Plus 509. And let's go the over here. Plus 785. Meerschaert, Rodrigues, Hubbard, over. I get leaving out Meerschaert, though. So let's just look at this. Rodrigues, Hubbard, and the over, plus 197. And that's the over in the, Katona and Gibson fight. If you added in Natália Silva, plus 291. Karine Silva would give you more juice at that plus 409 tag. Kind of feeling like I want to throw Blackshear in one, though. Plus 732. Bet intelligently. Don't go too fucking nuts with the parlays, but I can easily get carried away with these damn parlays. You guys know I can go fucking ballistic on these parlays. They can get dangerous, though. They can get dangerous. Weili, now you got plus 1,000. Blackshear, Weili, the over in the Katona fight. Hubbard to win and Gregory Rodrigues. That's a good plus 1,000 with some versatility. I kind of like this one a ton. A shitload, actually. Then you go Cheeto in it, plus 1,594. But I think, this right here is still pretty fucking solid. High confidence, if you're going like a Rodrigues, Weili, I do think that hits. If you're looking for a little more juice, you'd throw Karine Silva with a Weili or Karine Silva with the likes of Gregory Rodrigues. You kind of know where my head's at, guys. You can mix and match it as you choose. Let's do that. Karine Silva and Weili. Let's say I'm the Mac of the women's fights. Still plus money. Plus 127. That's pretty fucking good. Then if you also went Gregory Rodrigues, plus 192. I think this one's got a real shot. Then you extend it with Hubbard, plus 363. Then you extend it with, okay, I want to add the over in the Katona fight. Now you got plus 573. And then you want to start fucking piling a dog in. Go Meerschaert. Now you got plus 1907. Let's say you didn't want Meerschaert, but you still wanted to throw a dog. You go Blackshear, plus 1786. You're like, fuck that. Give me O'Malley. You go plus 2,000. You can go fucking crazy if you get where my head is at here. Let's go Meerschaert and Blackshear for a second. Plus 5,519. Jesus. That's huge plus. That's degenerate plus. Degenerate plus money there. Hey, a lot of ways you can play it. Bet intelligently. Don't go too crazy. 2 or 3 fighter parlays max to have your highest likelihood of success. Just know that the line won't be as pretty. If you go Rodrigues and Weili, you'll have better lines than just playing them individually. If you go Rodrigues with Karine Silva, okay, it's going to give you a little steam. You go Weili, Karine Silva, or what have you. Some of the higher comments, you go Ian Garry, Weili, and Gregory Rodrigues. They probably all three come through. And then actually, I want to pull that one up just to see if it hits with the plus money, because I do think it brings you into plus. All right, where's my guy, Gregory Rodrigues? We're going Rodrigues. We're going Weili and Ian Garry. You got plus 105 for that. For huge favorites. Absolutely huge favorites. Be cautious with this one. Be cautious with your bets. bet intelligently, as I always say. I hope you guys enjoyed the weigh-in recap show for this beautiful UFC 292 card. Super excited for the fight companion, so make sure you guys tune into that tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, or maybe you're watching this on Saturday, so it would be today for you. Much love. Smash the likes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and turn the post notifications on too. Definitely let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have nothing to say in those comments, but just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Much love, people, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.